Hey, and welcome to another firefly beading tutorial. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a single wrap bracelet using 8mm semi-precious beads. I'll list everything down in the description as far as materials needed, and we're going to be making something similar to this. So going over the materials really quickly, you're going to need a button, 1 yard of 2mm leather, and 2 yards of 210 S-Lon, 17 8mm beads with a 1mm hole, and 2 large eye beading needles similar to these guys. And be careful because they are extremely sharp and they will poke you. So let me move everything out of the way here. We're going to start by finding the middle of our leather. Oh, but before I start that, you do need a lighter, cutters, and it's helpful to have a macrame board to lay out and measure things as you go. So the first thing we're going to do is find the middle of our leather and put on a button. Bring everything down to the middle. Find that sweet spot there. I like to do this by holding the 2 ends together and then running my fingers down. So once we're in the middle, we're going to put a little overhand knot here. So just over and under. And we're going to cinch that knot as close as possible to the button without making it look like a terrible knot. You got to put some tension here for this leather because it could be a little bit thick and hard to work with. But it should be pretty close to the button. And now what we're going to do is secure it to our board here. So I like to use some little pins here, T-pins. So they look kind of like this. And I'm going to find a little spot through the leather, but not pushing it actually through the leather, just a little hole and forcing that needle through there. And then I'm going to put it right on this top line, which is a 0 mark. I'm going to take my tails and I'm going to insert them between the grooves straight down below, so just like this. And this will help me keep my tension on my project as I'm working. Now I'm going to take my S-Lon and I'm going to try to find the middle with this one by putting it underneath my leather and pulling it to about the middle. We could check this later, but about the middle here, approximately. I'm going to start my macrame knot. I have another video on this if you want to watch this more in detail, but you're going to start by essentially putting a little P with your right side, and then your left cord is going over top right here, so over top, and then under the leather and through the loop. That was your left side right here. And now I'm going to put my tails together like this and find that middle, so just pull it up, and then when I get close, I'm going to pull everything tight close to my button. Now I'm going to do what I call a Q on this side, so my left side is over the leather, my right side goes over top and then under, and through and pull. So I just go back and forth, so now I'm going to do my P, and then my left side goes over, under, and through. And I could put the link to the other macrame video down below as well. So we're just going to go back and forth here. Just remember what side you're on, back and forth. And in that other video, I do explain how you find that spot if you get lost. So over, under, and through. Just remember that, over, under, and through. Over, under, and through. So I like to get, about maybe a ½ inch or just under ½ inch, so maybe about 7, you'll see about 7 bumps on either side before I stop. You can make this as long as you want or as short. And then we're ready to open up one of our needles here, so it just opens down the middle. And we thread on one side and kind of pull it tight in there so it doesn't slip out. Be careful, these are very sharp if you use these needles. We sell them for about $1 each. We're going to do the other side, so put it through and then pull it tight. Okay. So right now our cords are on top like this, so we want to pull them under. So to do that, I'm going to put one side under the leather and the other side under one piece of leather. So it looks like this. And now I'm going to slide on a bead, and to do this I go from the left side and then from the right side, being careful not to go through my thread. Pull it all and then pull gently on both sides, and you'll see the bead start to cinch up. Now this is going to be the trickiest part, is trying to get this bead to lay where you want it to lay. You don't want it to pop out if you can help it, so you can see it moving around. So one way I do this is by holding the bead with my left hand and pulling that tension, and then holding with my right hand and pulling the tension until everything gets nice and tight. And again, we want to pull under the leather and then under the leather. And we want to do this each time before we put a new bead on. So again, I go through the left side, take my right, and put it through. Pull everything. And then give it a little tug. You don't want to pull the heck out of it, but just give it a snug little tug here. And again, go under and under. And then put on your bead. Left, right. And we're going to continue this all the way down until our last bead. Snug little tug. And then under and under. And again through the left and through the right. Try not to snag your cord inside. And pull everything snug and tug. Check your tension as you go, make sure everything's in place. And again, continue all the way down till we get to our last bead. And I wish I could be this fast. How cool would that be? Alright, so here's our last bead. So again, through the left, through the right, just as we've been doing. And see, I got snagged here, so carefully pull it out. And then snug and tug. Should look kind of like this. Check everything. So we're right now at the 6-inch mark. We're going to be at 6.5 when I add the macrame. And when I start my first knot, we'll be at about 7 or just under. That's how you can measure on this board here. So I'm going to go ahead and take my threads off. My needles off of my thread. And I like to save them just so I can keep an eye on them back in this thing here. Okay, so we're going to start a macrame again. And first to do that, I want to go under. So again, as if we're going to put another bead on. So under both sides and through. And then this is going to be a little bit tricky here to get a good amount of tension. We're going to start a macrame with our P. Our left goes over on that side and then under both of our leathers again and through the loop. And we're going to pull snug here. And before I pull too tight, I want to readjust my leather down here by just taking out one slot and putting it in the neck, or the same one as the other one, and then continue to pull. And then I'm going to do my left side, so my Q, then over, under, and through, and pull snug. And it'll start to get a little bit tighter and go down. So right side, over, under, and through, and continue on with this, pulling tight in between each one. And so you can keep on going, but the thing you want to remember is however many you have here, ideally you would want to match what you have up here, or at least as close as possible. So it's going to be a little bit different down here because of the way we had to pull that tension to begin with. So I'm going to add a few more down here. And when I'm done, I'm going to take some cutters and cut down next to the macrame, but leave a little tiny nub, like less than 1/8 of an inch probably. Just a little nub right here. And then same thing on the other side, sorry. A little nub. Then we can take everything off the board. And I like to store my pins here. Slide it out. And now I'm going to burn down the nubs here. So this is when you're going to take your lighter and gently rub your nub against the flame, not the flame against, you don't want to point the flame at it, you want to come up to the flame. And gently push that down and squeeze it and mold it against the knot. Alright, so now we're ready to do our buttonhole here. And you can add 2 here if you want to make it adjustable. So this bracelet that we're making right now will fit, my wrist is about 6.5. This will fit up to an 8-inch wrist. So we're going to just do the overhand knot here and pull it nice and tight against our macrame. So you don't want to go over top your macrame, excuse me, just right up next to it. And then pull to get that tension tight. Okay, now we're ready for this buttonhole. So I like to test it by putting the button kind of halfway through and then knowing where I'm going to put that knot. So I know that my button will fit through there. So again, you can check it before you pull this knot tight. That looks good there, so we're going to pull this tight. Once you get it pretty tight, you take an individual strand like this and pull and pull. There we go. Now we're going to do this one more time here. So overhand knot. This is if you want to make it adjustable. Check the hole again. But again, you don't have to add the second part here unless you want to make it adjustable or give it to a friend if you don't know their wrist size. So you pull everything kind of like this. And now we're ready to trim off the edges. I've got my really dull cutters here, but ideally you would have some sharper ones. Get everything cut off. And this is how you would wear it. So you just put it on and kind of slip the button through. Sometimes it takes some getting used to, but it should slip on pretty easily like this. So you could trim right here if this is for you, or you could leave it as is. So this is also, it can be done on this 1mm leather too, and a smaller button. And this is what it looks like if it just has a little bit of a trimmed piece here. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And don't forget to like or subscribe to our channel to learn more beading tips like this. Happy beading from us at Firefly.